Plumes of smoke billow black as the Fort McMurray wildfire consumes entire neighborhoods in its path. Cars rush bumper to bumper as over 80,000 people evacuate the blazing city. And the aftermath of over 2,400 homes and businesses being destroyed in the fire's wake. May 3rd marks the 6th anniversary of the devastating Fort McMurray wildfires, which had a $9 billion plus damage cost estimated by MacEwan University economists. In the time since, what have we learned?
Large wildfires are totally inevitable. They've been happening since long before people lived in those northern boreal forests. They will continue to happen long after people live in those forests. The issue that we've run into is, in our relatively short experience as being people living in those areas, is we've gone and built these great big communities in places that historically burned every, 100 or a couple of 100 years.
So if wildfires are inevitable in Alberta, and there have been 158 reported this year so far, is another big one expected this year?
It's unlikely that we'd see a Fort McMurray kind of fire today across much of northern Alberta because there's just far more precipitation on the ground. It's wetter, there's snow still in a lot of the tree lines. The conditions just aren't the same as they were when the Fort McMurray fire took off. An
Alberta wildfire information officer says last year, 2/3 of wildfires were caused by human activity, but that's a decreased amount since a few years ago.
I think Albertans are taking that messaging that we put out seriously and are trying to be as careful as possible when they're in the woods, generally speaking.
First Onsite did a survey of 1,514 Canadians and found that 75% of Albertans were worried about the threat of wildfires. But the SVP of First Onsite says that's not a bad thing.
It's definitely top of mind for a lot of Albertans. And while nobody wants to be afraid, I think it's a good thing. It can always, a little bit of fear sometimes is a great motivator as an individual or as a community to really take some steps and help mitigate that threat going forward.
In Edmonton, Sarah Chu, City News.